we should be fine.
Go ahead.
We cut off there, unfortunately, but to kind of finish my statement, I did weigh running backs heavier than receivers and such. I did like my running backs and Bryce's running backs better than Kyle's running backs. The receivers he has make up a lot of the ground. I just am not a fan of Jacobs or Montgomery, so that kind of killed his ranking. He to me has a league winning team, bar none. I power ranking wise going into the year, I just think that those guys can hurt him with their first matchups being San Fran and the Chargers.
Here, I'll say this as a bold prediction. I know this. I don't even know if it's all that bold, but obviously without injury, I think he's got the two best wide receivers in fantasy. I really do. Again, Buffalo
Saying
throws.
one, saying 1 and 2.
Yep, 1 and 2. I think Buffalo throws the ball 50 times a game. I think Diggs is right there. I'd like to see him go up 13 to 14. I'd like to see him go up to 13, 14 touchdowns. But if Cup does again 80% of what he did last year, he's still the best receiver in fantasy. 80%.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean Jefferson and Chase maybe on the touchdowns, but I would not be surprised if Cup and Diggs are the two best receivers in fantasy at the end of the
Nope.
year.
I mean, and to be fair, with Diggs being where he was, it was more so an option that I had and chose not to take because I knew running backs can be, again, they're few and far between. So I just wanted to get them out of the way.
All right, so that does it with our first division. Okay, Division 1. As a recap, Dana is ranked 6 for me and 5 for Krim. I've been writing these down as we go. Krim is ranked number 3 on both of ours in the power rankings. Trey is ranked number 10 for me, 8 for Krim. Peter is ranked number 9 for me and 11 for Krim. So far, that is Krim's worst team. Bryce, I ranked at number 8. This was our biggest difference. Krim has Bryce at number 2 in the power rankings. And Kyle, I have at number 2. Krimmy has at number 4. So based on those, Krim, 4 out of your top 6 teams are in that division. So we'll have to see how it pans out. Not too bad there. He obviously thinks that division's pretty good. Doesn't think the best teams in that division though. So we'll have to see where that lies. Neither of us have said our best team yet. So we'll see. All right, let's get to it. Let's get rocking here. Let's talk about Division 2. And with that, the top team in that division is myself, E-Rock Squad. And tell me how I did, Crimmy.
Want you to know that while we talk, I'm eating pizza.
Oh, okay, for sure, for sure.
So
What
here
kind?
we
What
are.
kind of pizza? Tell me it's some pepperoni.
Um, it's got a lot of stuff.
Can you tell me what Canadian pizza looks like? I mean, show it. Show it.
Um, it looks like pizza, dude. It's the same old pizza.
Yeah, you're talking to some
I took
Illinois people
I
in here.
took off my jersey because I would get it dirty, but
Let's.
that's the pizza right there.
That's respectable. There's some big
Yeah,
ass
yeah,
pepperonis.
yeah. It's not bad.
That's
That's why
respectable.
I don't have my camera on for this part.
That's totally fair, man. All right, tell me how I did on my team. What do we think?
Absolute shit.
Yeah.
We'll
Damn it.
start with that. No, I thought your team, although I'm not the biggest fan of Nick Chubb in the second round, it's also fine. I'm not. I'm not sitting here saying I'm not the biggest fan of Chubb in general because I do like Chubb. It's just that he's consistent, so I know why you did it. As a whole, the team is very balanced. I do like it quite a bit. You have Russell Wilson. He's always like, you what up, Eric? Let's ride, and then you
Yep.
guys ride. You
Should I
guys
change that? I think I should make that my team name. I'm sure other people have done that.
probably.
Keep going. Keep going.
However, that starting there again, you got a top quarterback, as most people do, but he is someone who his value is immense. I believe you got him. You got him in round 10. So looking at the guys behind him, was Rodgers, Carr, Lance, Stafford. I would be picking out of those guys. I only have one Q. I would take. Actually, I would have no Qs. I would take over Wilson. So you got the. Oh, I'm sorry, Prescott in round 10 as well.
I thought
Wow.
about Prescott there, but it was tough.
I just think that there's like Russell Wilson is able to support two top 24 receivers easily. He's done it. I just like the breakdown there more in Denver. So you got the best guy at that time. I don't like that you took Joe Mixon because fuck you for that. But no, the team as a whole is very balanced, and I think that's kind of how you approach most of your drafts. is in a very balanced mindset to where you want the best possible player, but you also aren't sitting there trying to pick risky guys. So you went with Mixon. I wouldn't say it's risky anymore. You went with Chubb, very safe. You went with Keenan Allen, very safe. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown because you saw his production last year. I would say he's on the lower end of safe, not really safe, but can be, there's going to be volume there. And like the biggest risk you took in this draft, like for crying out loud, was Dawson Knox. And if that's the biggest risk you take, that's not bad. I mean, you're relying on him to be your tight end, yes. However, he's on a good offense, so it's not like that's out of the realm of possibility for him repeating what he did last year. So like there isn't a lot of people here you took a flyer on. Maybe Russell Gage or Raheem Mostert can be considered that, but outside of that, most of these guys have an established role in their offenses. So it's not. It's pretty balanced, and it's the best way to put it is that it's a very balanced team, and you kind of know what you're going to expect out of this team.
Yeah, and before I say what I kind of was thinking of my draft, in the 7 years that I've been in the league, I am 51-43. Okay, so I'm really just a little bit hovering above 500, and I have made the playoffs 5 times in 7 years. But when I do get to the playoffs is when it gets it done, right? 7 wins, 2 losses in the postseason, 3 championships, 3 in the first 5 years, hoping to get back on that train. With that being said, interestingly enough, the first thing I said on my little notepad here when I was looking through all the teams is good balance. I feel like I really kind of balanced that team out. I was getting giddy the fact that I got Chubb. Okay, I was. I don't know why people are against him, but before I say that, I really did consider taking Diggs. I did because I knew he wasn't falling any further than that. I knew if Kyle was like, I'm getting Diggs, and I know he wasn't a Chubb guy, so I'm kind of curious what he would have done other than that. But I really did consider Diggs, and having a Mix and Diggs combo would have been nice, but man, is it hard to pass up the 2 workhorse running backs. I mean, we're talking again about two. I think people forget how young even Joe Mixon is. It feels like he's been in the league 8 years. Both these running backs are 26 years old. Okay, both we could argue that both of them just had the best years of their career last year, and they're 26. I don't know why Chubb falls year in and year out. The dude is a double-digit 1,200-yard back. Double-digit touchdown, 1,200-yard back each time he goes in. I know sometimes he doesn't get the volume that some would want, but I'm anticipating this year, if anything, he gets more volume with that quarterback situation. So we'll see. I like all my receivers because I think Keenan Allen is an 1,000-yard guy. Amon-Ra St. Brown's an 1,000-yard guy. I think Gabe Davis easily becomes an 1,000-yard guy in Buffalo this year. I think Christian Kirk, I know we make fun of the contract and all that, but with the type of offense they're going to run, I think Christian Kirk is going to be like a 90-catch, close to 1,000-yard guy in Jacksonville. They trust me. They didn't pay him that money to get 2-3 grabs a game. So I don't think I have elite receivers. I don't think I have an elite receiver, but I think the receivers I do have are all 1,000-yard, 7-8 touchdown guys, and I can let my running backs eat. I can let them get those carries, and I feel like I have a top 10-ish quarterback in Russell Wilson. Looking at the rest of it, real quick, I think I have a solid bench contributors. Obviously, Kareem Hunt's my handcuff. I think there's weeks I'll be able to start him. Who knows if Mozart maybe has the Miami job? I really think that's more of a committee than people think. Russell Gage in Tampa could be something once he comes back. I've already talked about Kirk. And then I got Michael Thomas just waiting in the wings. So I could easily put Michael Thomas in for Brees Hall. And who knows what we get out of Brees Hall? I know there's the whole Michael Carter's the number one, but again, I don't think they drafted Brees Hall that high to not get him touches in the game. I think it really is only a matter of time before he's averaging probably close to the Javonte Williams numbers of last year, and I will 100% take that. That's kind of what I'm looking at from there. I do got to knock myself a little bit though because I do have 2 pass catchers on Buffalo. I got Dawson Knox and Gabe Davis in the lineup right now. Curse me, but it is at least an offense that does throw a lot, and I mean a lot. So I'm kind of hoping that I can do well with that. The first year in a while, I don't have an elite tight end, but I do like Dawson Knox. So with that being said, Krim, any other last thoughts before you tell me where you put me in the rankings?
Nope, I'm just gonna get to it.
Hit me.
You're 12th. Just
All
kidding.
right.
Your team is very balanced, so I literally smacked you in the middle of the rankings. So you're 6th for me.
All right, awesome. All right, Krim has me at number 6. I put myself at number 4. Right, so number 4, I have myself in the overall power ranking. So 6 and 4, not bad. I'll take it. We'll see if I can get back at it this year. Not making the playoffs, man. That's tough stuff. All right, let's get to it. Actually, I can't remember. No, I don't think I made it last year. I can't remember. Let's get to Fear the Herbinator. It's back. The trades have been made. Whether they were good or not, you know you can get him to do it. I'm still waiting for the house on Keenan. I thought I've been offering pretty fair stuff,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
let's get to it. I'll start it off with Dave's team here. All right, Dave's team to me has an extremely weak wide receiver core. I like Judy, I do. But there's a few guys in Denver that I think are going to get the ball. Russell Wilson spreads it around. I think Judy's an 1,000-yard, 8-9 touchdown guy. That's fine. But you got McCole Hardman as your next guy. You got Julio Jones as your next guy. I'm not buying into that train. I tried to do that last year. Do his numbers rise a little bit in Tampa if he's healthy? Sure. Am I really that confident in putting him in my lineup each week? Not anymore. Not anymore at all. Darren Waller's been banged up, but I like him. Never a big Miles Sanders fan. Saquon's an injury waiting to happen. And we're still, I don't want to say waiting for Swift. I do think DeAndre Swift will be plenty fine. Um, but I just think this team just seems like it's missing just a couple pieces. I mean, I know people are waiting for DeAndre Swift to pounce off, but he had 500 yards rushing, or sorry, 600 yards rushing last year. He missed 4 games. So, okay, maybe he gets 800 rushes or 800 yards. He had 62 grabs last year for 450. So I see the potential there, but again, he's never quite boom done it to be worth that high of a pick. There's just a lot I don't like about this team. He's got high ceiling running backs in Barkley and Swift if they are who they can be. We know the whole story with Barkley, but very little to show for it. I mean, just very, very little to show for it. His bench, Landry and Hopkins is solid. Claypool can throw in there here and there. Not big on Brady or Williams. I understand the Williams is the Swift handcuff, which is fine. I understand that. But really, I don't like this team. Your thoughts?
I'm kind of the opposite. Not even. I'm not even the opposite. I am literally exactly the same. His receivers are horrible. I'm not even horrible. Your wide receiver one is Jerry Judy. Your wide receiver two is McCole Hardman, who is usually the fourth or fifth receiver on any other team. So having to play these players week in week out is going to be very hard for Dave. I mean, you have other options, sure. You can play Claypool. He loves D Hop. He tried to sell D Hop as a top 10 receiver to me when we were negotiating with Herbert. And I think that he can be valuable, but like if your team is Dave's team right now, like I don't think that Hopkins is the guy you need because you need receiver help now, not 6 weeks from now.
Yep.
So, I mean, all in all, like I do think that Dave had the worst first and second round picks in the league. Your first round pick was Saquon Barkley. That wasn't great. Not when you have players. Looking back on it, you have the ability to get Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs at that turn and not even touch a running back.
Yeah.
Yes, I know you know our league is different and usually running backs are again few and far between. But you picked the worst running back you could have possibly picked in the first round. So that did him. I think at that point did him in. Now we already know we went through it when we were in the party. Herbert going before Dave's pick threw him for a loop. He didn't want Mahomes. He didn't want Darren Waller. He wanted Herbert and Mike Williams, but he still could have gotten Mike Williams. He just chose not to and addressed two positions that he just hated. So you made two horrible first round picks. Your third and fourth were not what you wanted, and now your team's dead in the water, I think, at the beginning of the season.
And here's the thing with Saquon Barkley, dude's a physical freak. We all know that. But if you go look back at his career, okay, he's been in the league 4 years. He has been worthy of a first round pick in his rookie year, and that is it. Okay, he had 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns as a rookie. The next year, played in 13 games, dropped to 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's fine. It's not first round pick fine. The next year, obviously, got hurt instantly. Last year, the dude played in 13 games. I know he probably went out early in some of these games, but 162 attempts, 590 yards with a 3.6 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. I sure as hell hope that was kind of one of those he's kind of healing back up type of things because he looked awful last year. And I know the Giants are bad. Guess what? They're not going to be any better this year. So I just don't see the whole Barkley being worth a first round pick. Is the potential there? Is the ceiling there? Is the dude a physical monster? Is he probably the dude you want to tackle one of the least in the league? Sure. Dude's a beast. But we got to see it again because we haven't seen it since 2019, 2018. I mean, at what point do you just say, man, I really got to wait on this dude? But so I completely agree with you. I think there's some just really really interesting sketchy decisions. I think he could have won a lot of guys in a lot of different places. His draft was an odd one, and I think 12 was a good spot this year. 11 and 12 at the back was a good spot. So overall, like I said, weak receiver core, no true number one. I think there's a tight end injury concern with Waller. High ceiling running backs, little to show for it. Overall, I have Dave as my 11th ranked team. What about you?
I mean, I am surprised he's 11 for you because that means there's a team in this division, your own division, that is worse than Dave in your eyes.
Yeah.
And to me, I thought 12 was a good draft pick as well. The 12 spot to me was very intriguing. I think 11 was as well. However, Dave went from 12 into the regular season as 12.
Yeah.
Worst team in the league. I can't, hands down, I can't put it any better than that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the wide receivers more, you're damn near talking me into it. I'll stick with it just for fun, but yeah, I mean, Dave's it's not a good team. It's not. That's just my opinion on it. I think he's got to do something about it. I mean, really, he can't do anything about it
That's the thing. There's nothing to do.
Yeah, because if he goes in and is like, hey, you want Barkley? Well, not many people are going to be like, yeah, I'll give up the house for Saquon.
I think that there are going to be markets for these players. Just you need to either have them perform and move them quickly, or take the loss, which you're not going to do right now.
Right, and here's the thing: look at everybody's first round pick. If you told me, hey, would you be interested in this guy? Taylor, McCaffrey, Henry, and I know McCaffrey's glass, but again, he's proven it even more than Barkley has. Henry, Eckler, Cook. Then Bark. No, I can't really say I am that much. And I'm not saying he's not worth a second or third round pick, but I don't think I could have taken him that high.
No,
but I know the running backs were going early, and I know he felt like he had to do it. But wow, I don't know.
I just don't. I get why. I understand that you might want to put yourself into a place where you go RB, but you have to react to the draft. And I do think that Dave did a bad job at doing so, because even if you want to switch in the second round, that's fine. I think that Dave's team, even if you swap out just Hardman for Devontae Adams,
dude,
it changes your entire draft. If you don't go Waller, and things just work better.
And I don't know if I got a Chubb for Chubb, but again, this is my mind. This is the way my mind works. How do you take Saquon Barkley, who's not been fantasy relevant for 3 fucking years, and Chubb falls 6 more picks? Like, again, I'm not, and maybe I got to knock on wood because I'm amping Chubb up too much, and who knows what happens. And I get that, but like based on the numbers and what we see, just how do you do? Like how?
It's just, and we could be here all day long, and I'll kind of just cut it off here. Just looking at the backs that went after Barkley was Swift. Dave sat with him. I would rather have Swift over Barkley, Aaron Jones over Barkley, Javonte Williams over Barkley, Nick Chubb over Barkley.
I would argue Fournette this year. I would argue it. You could argue it.
I'm taking it. Because if you look at what's going on in Tampa Bay, Brady is losing linemen left and right. If Brady gets pressure in the middle of the line, what does he do? He freaks out, either gets sacked or is dumping it off constantly. I'm taking Fournette over Barkley. If you wanted the pass catching upside, there were backs there like Jones and Fournette who are much better in my eyes than Barkley.
And people, and again, call me crazy for saying this, but go look at the last 4 years of Zeke. Everyone wants to shit on Zeke. That's fine. And I know if you watch Cowboys games, he doesn't have the same explosiveness as he did in his first couple of years.
I've watched many of these.
Yeah, it's just obvious to see. But I'll tell you this: Zeke over the last 4 years has like 4.5 thousand yards. Okay, he's 1,000 yards every year, and over the last, let's see, 18, 24, he's got 34 touchdowns over the last 4 years. Okay, that's just the receiving touchdowns. He actually averages about 10 to 12 touchdowns a year, 1,000 yards. He gets 50 catches. I think you could argue you'd take Zeke over Barkley. I think the fact Zeke dropped to round 3, if he would have came back somehow to me, which wouldn't have happened, but I think Zeke almost fell too far. But again, that's just me. I know people are against him. But anyway, that's my rant on Dave. He fucked up. I got him at 11, probably really 12. Krim, you got him at 12.
I went 12.
Let's move on to the next team. God, I don't know. That's just my thing. I think people sometimes draft too much, especially in the early rounds, on potential rather than this is what
Yep,
this
I
player
think
does.
even then though, like you can't really sit there and say that Dave drafted on potential. The potential for Saquon Barkley, I know all the reports all year long have been let's get Beast in camp. They have a new OC, they have a new head coach, yada yada yada. That's fine. You're buying into the hype, but I mean you have
Team's still shit.
yes, the team is still bad, and he has not proven to me to be a first round pick. If you flip flop these two guys even and go with Swift in the first round, I know it's a matter of one pick. To me, it's just
Looks
different.
better.
It just
It just
looks
looks
better.
better.
It's
Yeah.
still shit. The team overall is still shit. It just looks better.
Right. No, I agreed. I think there was just a lot of head scratchers there. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I got a Chubb for Chubb. I will continue to knock on wood, but I just don't understand it at all. I was giddy like a kid in a shoe store when I saw
Always.
Chubb, and then I kept hearing people go, "I'm not that high on him. I'm not that." Okay. I mean, fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's
All right.
he's a safe running back, and I can't blame you for it. And speaking of running backs, this next player has two of them that I really enjoy.
Yeah, tell me about it. Let's talk about Gotham City Road, the defending champion, Jay. By the way, also, man, I keep forgetting.
I think he keeps forgetting to speak. He might be disconnecting. I am not sure. However, he maybe he's coming back. I don't know. But Jay is the defending champion. I mean, he pulled it out over Dana last year, which we saw Dana in a championship game in which he willingly, or not willingly, he well deservingly was in. But Jay just pulled it out. I'll kind of take the lead on this. I like Jay's team a lot. I think his draft went really well. There are some pieces of this team that I'm not the biggest fan of, but I do like a lot of it. I mean, the biggest question mark to me is your quarterback. It's Aaron Rodgers again, an MVP the last 2 seasons. You can't go wrong there. It's just a matter of how he acts with his options. If he's kind of going to be able to put on a show like he had the last 2 years, or if Devontae leaving is going to be the biggest issue. But outside of that, I mean, the rest of it is very solid. I love Fournette. I love McCaffrey being his RB1 and 2. I love Tyreek. I know that a lot of people don't really like Tyreek due to Tua being his quarterback. But I like it. I mean, that's your wide receiver one. He's has a proven track record. You can't really go wrong. DK is the biggest hole here in the receiving core, and that's not even an issue. I mean, if that's the biggest problem with your team is having DK Metcalf, then again, that's not a problem at all. I mean, you're going to have some weeks where the quarterback itself isn't performing, and DK catches 3 balls for 26 yards, but DK is still a freak of nature, and I absolutely love his 2 flex players, Adam Thielen, Damian Harris, and that's just for this week. I love Thielen. I've always loved Thielen. A touchdown machine. Yes, we relied on touchdowns quite a bit, but that offense is one of the top offenses in the league, and you're going to have options and opportunities to score touchdowns. So that's massive. And just looking at the bench, not great, but also not bad. You have J.K. Dobbins. You have 3 running backs that are very stout. You have 2 running backs that I would trust over Dave's 2 running backs, and Dobbins, who, when fully healthy, is going to have a great role in that Ravens offense. So you really can't go wrong with that. Overall, I like Jay's team quite a bit. Just top to bottom, he's got options everywhere. He doesn't really have any glaring issue, and that's the biggest thing to me. If you don't have anything I can kind of point out as a weak spot on your team, you're going to have a great time. Starting the season, obviously, injuries, he has 2 guys in Fournette and McCaffrey who kind of can get dinged up. We've seen in the past, but if everyone remains healthy with Jay and on Jay's squad, I think that Jay has one of, if not the best team in the league. I think we are rejoined by a three-time champion in Eric Foreman, who may or may not be reconnecting. We will find out. He's back. He's back.
All right, there we go. Can't quite get there we go. Yeah, I heard the last little bit of your thing on Jay there. Before I do that, of course, I forgot. Um, Dave has also been in the league for 7 years. I keep messing this up. We're so well good.
It's because his team's so bad. I guess
It
right
is.
now it just pisses you off.
We just had to dive into it. But overall, in the 7 years he's been in the league, he's an OG member since year one. He has a 52-42 record, so above 500. He has also been to the playoffs 5 times. So me, Kyle, Krim, and Dave have all made it 5 times, but he is 1-5 in postseason play. Finally,
it's crazy. So there's been
Yep.
4 people who have made it 5 times, which is the most in the league, correct?
Yep, exactly.
And only one of those people have won a championship.
Yeah. Who? Oh, me. That's right. Yep. That is true. Yep. But yeah, Dave is 1-5 in the postseason. He was 0-4, I believe. Yeah, 0-4 until he finally got his first win. There are, like I said, Trey and Chad, the only ones without a playoff win that have been in the league every year. So that is Dave's record, so a little bit above 500. Jay, our reigning champion. This will be his 5th year in the league. He's been in 4 years so far. 24-29 record. Never made the postseason. 3 years running. Wasn't sure what to think of him. Finally, last year, year 4, comes out, dominates, 2-0 in the postseason, wins the championship, got the bye, won it, just dominated. I mean, by far and away his best team. The first few years, awful. Last year, turned it around. And from what I heard from you think that's going to continue this year. And I'll tell you what, I'm right there with you. I think Jay's team is really, really good. Okay. I love the running backs. We're high on touchdowns on the running back factory here. Again, I know we can talk about the McCaffrey thing all day as we want, but Fournette, McCaffrey, high touchdown guys, McCaffrey, huge PPR guy. And again, it's not like Barkley who came back and sucked. Whenever McCaffrey's on the field, the dude's good. I mean, he's still good. It's just a matter of him being on the field. Tyreek Hill, huge catch guy. Again, people are down on him this year. Does he repeat what he did in KC? I don't think so. But Tua's going to get him a lot of grabs. I mean, screens, slants, end arounds. He's going to be used. Metcalf, still like him. Zach Ertz, I think, is a top 10 tight end. Gotta love it. Adam Thielen, I keep waiting for his drop off to happen at his age. It never does happen. And hell, even if he does drop off a little bit as your flex, it's not too bad. Damian Harris, gonna eat touchdowns. Dobbins is sitting on his bench right now. I love Dobbins. Chuba Hubbard on the handcuff on McCaffrey. I think that was a really smart play by Jay as well. I think he's got high ceiling. He's got depth in Galladay, Olave, Hubbard, Dobbins. I really think this is one of the absolute deepest teams in the league. I will say his top receivers, though, Hill and Metcalf, new quarterbacks. Hopefully they don't digress too much. That's really the only thing I can sit there and point to is, damn, Metcalf and Hill, your 2 best receivers, changed quarterbacks. That's about it. Other than that, I think this team is extremely well balanced, top to bottom, from lineup to bench. And so I know you spieled it already. Where do you have him in your rankings?
I have Jay as my number 1 team.
Dang. All right. So I'm glad I wasn't the only one who thought this. I also have Jay as my number 1 team in the league. Okay. I think Jay is the best team. No pressure here, buddy. Reigning champion, Jay, is number 1 on me and Krim's list. And again, we did not, outside of Krim telling me where he was going to put himself, we did not talk about our lists at all. So it's kind of crazy to think that we both have him as the best team. And I agree. I really do. I
also wanted to expand on that. I told Eric I was going number 1.
Yeah, he did.
Number 1.
He did say that. Yeah.
Outside of that, yes, we had no kind of information given to each other, and it's easy to agree on this because again the running backs are so strong, and the flex positions are so strong when JK comes back that the middle parts, the receivers can be mediocre, and they're not. That's the thing. They can be good receivers. So,
well,
really,
it's not
like
often.
You said, where is the flaw?
And it's not often you can look at a dude's bench and go, well, he could start on a team. He could start like Olave. Winston's going to throw for 4,000 yards, guys. Olave is their number. I mean, someone's going to be not necessarily the Jamar Chase of last year, the Justin Jefferson of the year before that, but it was a heavy, deep wide receiver draft class. Somebody's going to do it. I'm maybe betting on the guy that's going to have a quarterback throw damn near 5,000 yards. But Dobbins, starter. Galladay, pretty good. They're going to be down in a lot of games. Olave, like I like Jay's team top to bottom, and no surprise here that he's number one. Both our lists though, that's pretty interesting. Number one on both. All right, so back to back or champion of last year, trying to go back to back. The pressure is on early, because of the podcast. All right, so let's go to the next team.
The
The
three
guy
teams
that fucked,
left. Yep, the
yeah,
three teams left, and the guy who fucked up the draft
the
day.
guy who fucked it up. Oh, dude. Oh, that draft we had for a month. Oh, fuck. I forgot. Like, oh, it happens. We made it work. It worked. Um, awesome that you got to be there, Chad. That's really cool. But let's get to it. Seafell's team. Here we go. Um, Chad's team just always seems, and looking back on his history here, Chad's team, again, kind of like Peter's, either good or bad. Chad is in 7 years, okay, he has made the playoffs 4 times. So again, a little over 50%, and he has an identical 47 wins to 47 losses in the league. But he is where Dave was not that long ago. He's made the playoffs 4 times, and he has lost all 4 games. He has never gotten out, right, of that first round in the postseason. So being an OG member, he's been in the league 7 years. Is this the year he turns it around? What do you think of Chad's team?
The thing with Chad's team is, I don't. There are players on here that I love a lot. Being Jamar Chase, obviously, he's a league winner last year, so you can't really go wrong there. The second round for Chad was very odd to me because he had the ability to go with essentially whoever he wanted, and I think he made the wrong choice there. He went with Travis Kelsey. I like Travis Kelsey. I think Travis Kelsey is a second round pick. I don't think Travis Kelsey is a second round pick when you have Devontae Adams available right there.
Or
If you
Diggs?
can tell, or Diggs. I mean, if you could tell me that you went with a positional play and a power play with tight end, and I understand why. However, you missed out on likely having 2 top 5 receivers on your team. Because if Diggs or Adams goes there, I truly think that um, the computer picking for Trey likely goes either Kelsey or Diggs, and then Kyle's pick is jumbled around. But he went Kelsey, took that kind of the play for what it was, and then that's where things for Chad to me went very south. Taking Kelsey over Adams, taking Akers over the. I mean, if you're not going to go, I know quarterback there is kind of risky, but like usually when you have Kelsey, you want to go with Mahomes, right? So he
Yep.
didn't, which is fine. He chose Akers though. I
Well,
do think that
remember it wraps though. So he took
it
Akers
does.
before.
Yes, he got Akers in the third round. So he chose Akers over any quarterback, Herbert, Mahomes, whatever.
Right.
Just that being that there sticks out to me a lot. Being your running back one, I know there aren't a lot of running backs available. So to me, if you went with a Mike Williams or DJ Moore there, or a receiver with more upside than Akers, I feel like your team looks stronger. I know again running backs are scarce at that point, but just the Akers pick to me is so up in the air that you can't rely on him being your running back. You picked it as a running back one. Akers is not a running back one. That is a shot in the dark at that point. The rest of the team doesn't look bad. It has potential, but there's no one here who stands out to me that goes, I really would love to have that guy on my team. ETN, maybe. Mooney, I'd say that he's, could have a good year too, but there's nothing on this team that screams fantasy stud outside of Travis Kelsey, Jamar Chase, and your quarterback, which everyone's quarterback usually is going to be fine. Yes, if Shaq can get, MVP Lamar back, it's going to help him quite a bit. But the rest of it just doesn't look great. I mean, your receivers are Mooney and Chase, Robert Woods, and you have Jacoby Myers and Sky Moore and Josh Palmer, who are all, wide receiver threes on their respective teams. So you don't really have options to go to off of your bench, meaning everyone's kind of locked in. And as it stands right now, if you're locked in as it is, it's not the greatest team.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think there were some draft mistakes here. I actually don't hate his team, but I do agree there's some draft mistakes. I'm a big tight end guy, just like anyone else. But one of these years, man, it's gonna happen, right? I mean, he's 33 this year. One of these years, it's gonna happen, and some people have different mindsets on fantasy. Hey, Tyreek Hill's gone. Kelsey's numbers go up. I don't necessarily think that, and I don't think that's how that works all the time in the league. Where that guy's gone, that means his targets have to go up. If anything, Kelsey's probably going to get zeroed in more. They don't have that over the top on the offense where Kelsey's just sitting there in the middle of the field. I'm not saying Kelsey's going to have a bad year, but he's been a 12, 1,300 yard, 10, 12 touchdown guy, which makes sense for a second round pick. But I'm right there with you. I think late second, early third would have been fine. That was just too early for me. Devontae Adams is there. Stephon Diggs is there, right? You mentioned in the other rounds, Akers ATN. We're gonna see there. I'm a big ATN guy. I know both of the. I mean, but again, you said it. Both running backs. What did they play last year? No, Akers at the very end, right? So Akers ATN didn't play, question marks there. Lamar Jackson, again, love him, but even that was a little early to me for a running quarterback like that. Fantasy wise, he's not been close to that MVP level fantasy wise. And again, another one. I understand the doubling up on tight ends, but Hawkinson had 600 yards and 5 touchdowns last year. Again, I know the situation with Thomas, I know the situation with Hopkins, Devontae Smith, but like I'm taking Michael Thomas over Hawkinson. If Michael
Yeah,
Thomas
and I
comes
mean, like,
back and he's
even if you look at that, yeah, he's a 3/4 of himself. He's fantastic,
right,
and Chad only has 2 receivers at that point. You could take, in
exactly.
my opinion, any receiver that was taken after him: Elijah Moore, Thomas, Hopkins, Renfro, Devontae Smith, Ayuk, Lazard. I know you're not going to go that deep, but that to me helps your team more so than getting stuck with 2 tight ends, unless you
If
plan on trading Kelsey.
yeah, if you draft Kelsey that high, unless you're doing what Dane did and you're getting another elite tight end, you don't get another one. Pick one up on Kelsey's bye week. Pick one up. Don't waste a pick like that. That to me, that's a wasted pick. And you got to hope it's trade bait. But at this point, teams are probably looking at you like, well, you're not really starting Hawkinson, so like, it's sorry. Like your seventh round pick really shouldn't be a bench piece. It should really be someone that's contributing to your lineup week in and week out. That's a bench piece right now for Chad. So I do think there were some draft mistakes, but overall, I do think there is some high potential here. I think ATN could be a 70, 80 catch guy. If Akers is the guy there, that could be big. Jamar Chase, big touchdowns. Kelsey, big touchdowns. Mooney, Chase, and Kelsey should all be over 1,000 yards this year. Woods, maybe close on a bounce back year. So I do like the solid core of his lineup. Sketchy receivers behind Chase, good running backs with a ton of injury history. But I do think he actually does have a kind of a deeper bench. Madison's always a go-to fantasy stud if Cook goes out. Melvin Gordon, I think you can insert in your lineup each week, put him over Hawkinson. Jacoby Myers, big touchdown guy. Sky Moore, maybe he's the guy that brings it in KC. Who knows? Overall, though, I have Chad as my 7th best team. I know I kind of digged him a little bit, but it's one of those things where I think he was just a couple moves away from being a playoff team. And I think he made a couple mistakes.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that to me is very surprising. I fully thought with 3 teams remaining, Chad was going to be your 12. He is not. He shocks
You
the
like a team a
world.
lot better than
He
me, man.
is. He is yeah, that is true. So he is your 7.
Yep.
Chad to me, again, I saw earlier today, and this might change his team a little bit. Alexander Madison is now kind of on the trade block. So if the Vikings do trade him to a spot where he can start, then that's going to obviously increase his value and give Chad another running back that he can rely on, which would be fantastic considering he only has really 2. But I have Chad as my 10th best team.
All right, so I got Chad at 7. You got him at number 10, and we'll see if he can finally get that monkey off his back, get that playoff W.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, yeah, that's something I forgot to kind of mention. That was I'm hoping Chad got a Moon Man last night because it's the only hardware he will see in regards to this team right now.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. I just remember, Chad. I had you a little bit higher than Krim did. 7's right on the playoff cusp. So take Krims and run with it. Take Krims and run with it. Next up is going to be Tyler. All in, Allen, a day's work. Haha. We got Tyler. He's been in the league now. This will be his 4th year with us. In 3 years, he's 18 and 22. He does have 1 playoff appearance with 1 loss in the playoffs. So kind of 2 years, and then finally got it together, making the playoffs in 1 season. So based on what we know, Tyler coming in, I will kind of start off this one. I will say, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I think the receivers are one of the worst cores. I don't trust Juju Smith-Schuster this year. I don't. I don't know. This is one of those things where if Mahomes makes him that guy, then okay, I was wrong. Tyler's team could really be something. But Juju Smith-Schuster, you got Cortland Sutton, who I like, but again, that's your 2. Here's the thing. You ready for this? Dalton Schultz, Tony Pollard right now in the same lineup. Okay. Not good. Are we really starting Tony Pollard? Devin Singletary does not score, and he's on a team that doesn't run the ball. They score a lot. They just don't run the ball. They have tried to figure out this running back situation for years. I rode the Devin Singletary train for a couple years. It has not worked out yet. Oh, and by the way, you know me. I don't like the quarterback running back stacks. He's got Pollard and Schultz in his same lineup from Dallas. Now he's got Allen and Singletary in his same lineup. Oh, by the way, he's also got Zeke. And he's got Gallup. Okay? Where is this lineup going to not contradict with each other and fuck itself over? I mean, I love the running backs, Elliott, Taylor. I still think he drafted the quarterback a little high. I'm not a fan of drafting quarterbacks that high. But bad wide receiver core, good but not great running backs outside of Taylor. I know I hyped Zeke up a little bit earlier, but he's good. He's not great anymore. Quarterback, running back stack, running back, tight end stack, and his bench, Drake London, questionable. Okay, we'll see. Burks, okay. Zamir White, okay. When you draft Josh Allen, again, guys, don't take a second quarterback. Just don't do it. It's not a 2 QB league. Just that would rather be a bench spot in my opinion. But it is what it is. Drafted his guy Tanyan. I don't like Tyler's team because I think it contradicts each other way too damn much. I think people will instantly look at the running backs and go decent, but the rest of the team just isn't there. If Juju Smith-Schuster turns into a 1,200-yard guy, boom, I'm wrong. Go get it, Tyler. But this team is just too into each other. It just is. I don't know how else to say it. Your thoughts?
Shit, man. I swear he made a change with his lineup because these guys weren't here before. He wasn't playing Pollard and Zeke.
Well, even still, who would he replace him with?
I don't know what. I think Drake London was in there over Pollard, so things looked a little more less starry because of this fucking Cowboys logo. However, now I have him too high looking at it. I kind of did what you did. Not that it happens, but looking at his team, this makes sense as to why I'm assuming he's going to be that team.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing like the running backs are there, yes, but
that's my thing is I think people look at the running backs and they go stable, and then
the thing is I don't even think they're stable, man. Like Jonathan Taylor, he's stable, yes. Zeke has been good. I wouldn't say he's stable because you're clearly picking up Tony Pollard because you're afraid that he could lose that job. But now, not only are you doing that, you're playing both of them. So you're literally putting all your eggs into this Cowboys basket, and it's literally what Dave does. But to me, this is worse because you're essentially, if this defense is the same as it was last year, Tampa Bay caused problems for everyone. So you're going to now have to live with this week 1 loss. Just looking at it, Josh Allen can score 60 points himself. You're probably losing week 1 because Tampa Bay and Dallas are not going to have a shootout.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Here's what I'm doing if I'm Tyler. Looking back on his draft, I'm not taking Allen in round 2. In fact, I would take, Mike Evans. Okay, so let's say Taylor, Evans, Elliott are his first 3 picks. He doesn't have a quarterback. Let's just say round 8. He instead of taking, I know he likes Pollard. So let's even say round 9. What quarterbacks are still available? Dak, Russell Wilson. Stafford.
Oh yeah, dude, Dak with all the Cowboys he has, we'll go with Dak. I mean,
Well,
it would work
no, I get
though.
that. But
It
at
would
least he's
work
got
more so if he did that.
Schultz and Gallup, right? But I mean, even still, Rodgers, Derek. Okay, so maybe he drafts one in the 8th round. Tom Brady, and I like Josh Allen. I think he is that one quarterback you can take early. But again, I just think based on where we're at, if he swaps that to Evans in round 2, Taylor, Evans, Elliott, okay, I think he drafted Schultz too high as well in round 5. I'd rather take Dobbins. I'd rather take again, guys. Jalen Waddle caught 100 balls last year with 1,000 yards. Why is Dalton Schultz going ahead of him? Why is Dalton Schultz going ahead of Brandon Cooks, Josh J? I don't get it. I just don't get it. I do not get it. I'm sorry. This team's bad. I think there's a lot wrong with it. I hope you prove me wrong. I would have moved some things around, and I think it could have looked a lot better. Evans taking a quarterback later. I don't know what it is. This team, to me, is the number 12 team in the league, and it's crazy for me to say that, given when you look at the running backs.
No, I mean, I agree. I'm at a loss for words because this shit looked different 2 hours ago when I kind of went through everything.
But it's one of those things like, who do you really replace? Okay,
But
so you
man,
take Pollard out. Okay,
and
London. I mean,
dude, you
Singletary's
take
not going
Pollard
to
out and
score
put Gallup
touchdowns.
in there because you have every Cowboy on this damn team. Literally every Cowboy that is fantasy relevant outside of their quarterback, you have them. Zeke, Schultz, Pollard, Michael Gallup. Like there's nobody else who's going to do anything outside of CeeDee
No.
Lamb and Dak Prescott. Go get them. Play an
Yep.
entire Cowboys offense and see if that wins you a fantasy football championship. I can guarantee you it won't. This is crazy. You have them at 12. I want to rearrange my rankings and do the same thing
Go
because
ahead.
even Dave's team's not that bad.
Right.
I had Tyler at 9. That is too high.
Too
I
high.
had him at 9. I'll stick him there.
Too damn high.
At 9. That is too damn high. That is looking at this team, breaking it down now. This team is absolute. I know, Bella. This team is absolute shit.
Well, you'll have to tell me what you're going to put. If you're going to put him at 12, I can throw 12 in there, and maybe I'll put Dave up to 11.
No, I'm keeping him at 9. It's where I had him before he changed his lineup. But
all right,
that's going to drop. I mean, we can record next week 1 recap show today, and he's dropping at 12 because this team is. Ugh.
Yeah. So I got Tyler at 12. You got him at 9. As of right now, just not a whole lot going for it outside of those running backs. I think some of them are going to have to be dealt at some point. Let's get to it. Let's get to the last team that we got to break down. It is the Chubby Chasers. It is Rob. He has been in the league now for 6 seasons. The only year he missed was the first year, the inaugural year. He's got a pretty damn good record. 49-31 is his record. Pretty damn solid. He's made the playoffs 4 times in 6 seasons. And he is 5-2 in the postseason, so he has the second most playoff wins, and he's got 2 championships. In fact, me and him I won the first, he got the next 2, then I got the next 2 after that. So we've been kind of swapping back and forth as the champions. Let's see if that can continue this year. Rob's team. Here's what I'm going to say about Rob's team. There are some running back questions. All right, when you look at the team, I think Henry and Mitchell, there's been a lot of stats showing Henry's down. I love the guy. He's the definition of a workhorse. I got no problem with him taking Henry. But who is the number 2 behind Henry? Is it Elijah Mitchell? Questionable. Maybe. San Francisco always runs a committee. That's kind of Shanahan's approach. I don't necessarily see that changing all that much. Who's the number 3? Who's really the next guy? If Mitchell's not the guy, then who is? Kenneth Walker? Does Jeff Wilson step into the role behind Mitchell? I don't know. I like Kenneth Walker. Am I thrilled if he's my RB2? No, not at this point. The 49ers, like I said, they're always tough on running back, so we'll see. But he has one of the best receiver cores. In fact, I think you could argue he has the best receiver core outside of the obvious Kyle. I mean, Debo, Mike Evans, McLaurin, Bateman. If everyone thinks Bateman's going to take the role of Marquise Brown of last year, we're talking 4 guys that are over 1,000 yards. Debo with his hybrid role, who knows? And we're talking 4 guys that might not only have 1,000 yards, they might have 10 touchdowns apiece. Mike Evans is a touchdown machine. Terry McLaurin last year, 5, a little bit on the lower end, but Rashad Bateman, we'll see what he steps into. Debo was an absolute stud last year. Okay. We'll see. I think Bateman's the big question mark here, but overall, I think Rob is stacked with receivers, and then he's got Derrick Henry as his RB1. What's your take?
Yeah, I would agree. I do like Rob's team. I wouldn't say that his receiver core is super disgusting. Again, just because I'm not high on Terry. I don't think Terry
What's
is a
wrong with Terry?
problem. I don't think Terry is a problem. I just don't. It's not Terry. It's the quarterback. Carson Wentz is the problem there.
So he's the best
And
quarterback he's had in his career.
I mean, you could say that, yes, but I do think that Carson Wentz is not going to be able to support him the way you would think while taking him where you did, because it wasn't like Terry was a fifth, sixth round guy, right? He got taken in the fourth round. He got taken in front of guys like Sutton, like Waddle, like Cooks, like Marquise Brown. I would have those guys ahead of Terry.
I
So
mean, 1,000 yards. I mean, in 3 years, he's got 1,000. He's got 3,000 yards. I mean, that
yeah, which is
he's done it.
fair. Again, he has proven me wrong every which way, but I do think that it's not Terry. To me, it's Carson. And I don't think Carson is going to be able to utilize him as well as he should. That's the biggest question mark for me. Outside of that, I do like Mike Evans. I do like Debo. I do like Rashad. But a lot of the offensive production through San Fran, running wise, could go through Debo, right? Not a lot of it, but a decent amount could go through Debo. So you have the luxury of having the 1B running back in Debo in San Fran, but it cuts into Elijah, which cuts into his value, which cuts into your running back production. And outside of that, you're looking at guys like Ramondre Stevenson to pick up the pieces. You're looking at Kenneth Walker to pick up the pieces. Those guys can do it for sure, but it still remains to be seen that they have, the capability of actually going out and actually becoming that RB2 that you need. That to me is a big hole to kind of have to fill, but kind of balances itself out with the wide receiver core that he has. So I mean, I'm not stupid high on Rob's team. I'm not stupid low on Rob's team. That kind of would show in my where I have him in my rankings.
And here's the thing with his bench too. I mean, running back, running back, running back, running back, running back, running back, receiver. I mean, he can do that because of how good his receivers are. Really, you're hoping if I'm Rob, I'm thinking, man, I really hope I don't really have to ever take Evans, Samuel, McLaurin, or really Bateman out unless they have a bye or unless they're hurt. You're hoping those guys can be locked in, week out. And then, okay, if any of these running backs become something, Kenneth Walker in Seattle, Stevenson in New England, maybe White in Tampa. Who knows? I mean, you just never know in a fantasy season. That's the question mark about it, right? You're hoping those receivers are locked in week to week. Henry's locked in week to week. Dak's going to throw for 4.5K yards. I think there's a lot to like about this team. So, big questions if for some reason Henry gets hurt again, though. But again, I hate doing the whole if the injuries happen. If the injuries happen, I'm looking at it. I like it. Overall, I have Rob as my fifth best team. What do you got him?
I don't. I like Rob's team. I don't think it's fantastic. I think it's middle of the pack, and that's where I have him. I have him at 7.
All right, so that wraps it up for our two divisions, which means overall, let's break it down, okay? Real quick, going back to the top. Dana is sixth in mine. In Crims, he is 5. Crimson himself is number 3 for me. He's also number 3 for Crim. Trey is number 10 in the power rankings for me, number 8 for Crimson. Peter is number 9 for me, number 11 for Crimmy. Bryce is this was I think our biggest difference. Yes.
Yep.
Bryce was number 8 for me, number 2 for Crim. Kyle was number 2 for me, number 4 for Crim. Eric, me, was number 4 on my rankings and number 6 for Crim. Dave, bad, not good. Number 11 for me, number 12 for Crim. Jay, we both had at number 1. So a lot of pressure there going for the defending champ. Chad, I had him at number 7. Crimson had him at number 10. Tyler was number 12 for me. Crim pre-show number 9. That's what we're going to stick it at. But fastly dropping from what we just heard. And Rob is number 5 for me and number 7 for Crim. So with that being said, Crim, I interestingly have the two best teams. Or sorry, not the two. Not quite. I have the best team in Division 2 and the worst team in Division 2. We always have fun with this division thing. Ranking wise, it'll be interesting. I think it is pretty even, but let's break it down. 3 playoff teams in each division. What are your 3 playoff teams in Division 1?
Division 1 is the stronger division. I'll sit there and I'll die on that hill for sure. You have the likes of Dave and the likes of Tyler in your division. Like that's just
Yeah.
right then and there, did
Yep.
it.
Agreed.
As far as playoffs go, however, I have my number 2 team in Bryce, my number 3 team in myself, my number 4 team in Kyle making the playoffs on the Division 1 side.
All right. So nice. All right. It's not too bad there. I have in Division One, I have my three playoff teams are going to be Crimson, Kyle, and Dana. I think those are the three teams. I do think Bryce is going to hang around there. I think he's probably the biggest competition outside of that. Peter, I mean, again, just like baseball, I hate to say it, but Peter, it's just going to be such a coin flip on so many of those guys. If the coin flips right, he'll be there and he'll make us eat our words again. And I'm sure he'll be happy to have that happen. So those are my three playoff teams in Division One. In Division Two, my three playoff teams are going to be Jay, myself, and Rob. I think Chad also hangs around. I liked his team right around the middle of the pack. And I'll say this: Dave and Tyler are, in my opinion, the two worst teams in the league. So really, I think it's a four-team race for the three spots. Again, this is why we do these podcasts. It's fun. We could be completely proven wrong. Who knows what happens? But I think Dave and Tyler are the two worst teams, and I'm like, wow, I'm kind of sitting here happy I'm in this division if I only have to worry about beating out one other team. So, what are your three playoff teams in Division Two?
They're exactly the same, man. You look at Tyler's team, look at Dave's team. I'm writing them off already, which is could be unfair, but at this point, fuck, I mean, just they just look really bad on paper. And like you said, it's really just Chad's team. Chad's team, I had at 10, so I don't really see him, being too big of a threat. Obviously, he can sneak in there, seeing as I had Rob at 7, so it's not too big of a gap there. But I would say those three playoff teams will be you, Jay, and Rob.
All right, all right. How about that? We do have the two divisions right there. It's fun. I like the division thing. I know some people, obviously, if you go like 9-5 and you don't make it, that's going to be so brutal. That doesn't really happen too often, but I think it's fun. It's fun. It's cool. We got the division trash talk. Remember, I say it every year. The first 5 games are all division games, and then the last 5, I believe, are all division games. Pretty much last 4 maybe. So those first 5 with tiebreakers and everything going on, man, is it fun getting those games going and rocking away. All right. Well, Division One, Division Two, not too bad. Any last thoughts here, Crimmy, before we wrap up? Any other bold takes, bold predictions, or anything to say before this all gets underway?
No, I mean, no bold predictions. I do think that once these drop, there will be some movement within the
Oh,
league, just on teams kind of trying to, better the situations for sure. Probably in Tyler's situation as well as Dave's, but Dave, I feel like it's kind of dead in the water because he doesn't have any assets to move, which sucks for you. But
yeah.
um, no, nothing really. I mean, I hope everybody has a lot of fun this season. We got through the hard part, and we've got another week.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm ready to get things going.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're ready to roll. Fantasy football season's back. Again, I want to thank everyone. This league is really beyond expectations. I kind of started this league on a whim 8 years ago with frustration from another one. I'm like, hey, let's see how it goes. And 8 years later, we finally got a solid, stable group of guys. I know it changes a little bit here and there, but I'm really happy with the guys we got here. It's been fun. I'm really excited to keep it going as long as we can. $200 this year, Crim, to get in. It's becoming that premium. How about that? I'm sure Chad wishes it was 800, but too bad. We ain't got that type of bread. We got some teachers in here, but it'll be fun. The pot's widened. It's more exciting. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to get this thing rolling. Kick off soon enough, and then all the trash talking can commence. We got some hot takes here for you guys. Again, thanks again for tuning in. This will be season 8 of the Sideline Fantasy post draft review podcast. See you next week.